You just got ripped by your strata levies. Old people complain about it. Young people complain about it. Let's talk about it. Let's understand it. Stay tuned.
Boom. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes, episode 410. Myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak, strata levies. Are you getting ripped or are you not getting ripped? Because let's face it, strata levies can really deter a purchaser from buying a property. They can even influence someone just getting rid of a property and selling it. So let's talk about it. Are they a waste of money? Do you get anything for your strata? Mr. Novak, good morning. Lisa, how are you? Nice heck. Thank you. I did it in a bit of a rush.
Good morning.
It's a good canvas
it's
to
nice
work.
comb over.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit long.
You know what? Strata levies are really misunderstood. The poor cousins. My mother was buying something, I think about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. She was absolutely adamant she did not want strata. And the difference between a strata and the difference between, like, to give you an idea, today we're talking about strata levies, but you know, even if you're buying a townhouse and there's a townhouse that's Torrens title or there's a townhouse that's strata title, on a price range of 1.5, you can be 10 or 20% difference on price because of the fact of strata and non-strata. But so my mother was saying, look, I can't stand these bloody levies. It's ridiculously expensive per month, per quarter to be spending that. In addition, I've got to pay more for the property as well to be a Torrens property. But it's a bit of furfies in there, don't you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. I think you said it really well put just off air before, Mark, going, of the figure of strata, the strata managers generally only charge 5%. So if it's $1,000, 5%, what's that, your $50, that's the waste. That's the expense. Like, not in it as a waste as in waste, because you obviously get the service, but every other dollar is going towards the property, the building. It's for savings, maintenance, cleaning. You got your sinking fund, your admin fund. So I think it goes to a lot of people's personalities and just how we think about it, where we don't mind having an unexpected bill. Well, we do mind, but you have no projected payments, and then you get a bill pop up for like $3,000. You're like, oh, okay. Rather than strata is like a forced continual projection. Go, well, if we pay a little bit each quarter, then if something does come up, because something always comes up, Mark, there's always maintenance. You've always got insurance bills, council. So it's just like a little forced savings.
Well, it's funny, when you're running your home, you don't do programmed maintenance. So you just like, oh shit, I need to change the roof, or oh shit, I need to paint. Doesn't that look nice? You do everything very ad hoc. And when it's your own home, you actually don't collate your bills and your costs at the end of the year either. You sort of go, well, I had to pay that. That's right, I had to pay that as well. That's right, I had to pay that. Yeah. But when it's strata managed, it's programmed maintenance, which is more painful because it's visible on the horizon, and you can see the bill. You know the bill's coming. Different to home maintenance of a house.
Yes, and you're generally, when you're looking at buying a property, you've got your administration fund, your capital works fund, and your special levy fund, and all that's generally put together, and they say pay $1,000 a quarter. And I tell you what, like I've had a couple of buyers call me for advice. They're looking at buying a building, and there is no strata continual payment. They've got no balance. They've got nothing. And that almost scares them more than a typical strata setup, because in that case, there was a building of 4 lots. 3 of them were owned by one owner, and they didn't do anything regular. If something needed maintenance, they paid as they go, sort of thing. And that sort of can help you see the difference where you can have the two sections. You can have it pre-programmed, as you said, and go, well, we're expecting $10,000 of cleaning for the building, maintenance. Maybe we got to, let's say if the lift goes wrong, we want to have at least a budget there. So you can have that sort and have a little bit of a savings fund. But quite often, if you've got a building with a small amount of lots, all the owners, they may be quite sort of, you don't want to say cashed up, but they've got liquidity that they don't need to have a forced savings. If something happens and it's $5,000 to be fixed, they're generally pretty good to be able like, yep, here's the money between us owners, we can pay it. Where Strata's very handy if cash flow, well, you've almost got to think worst case scenario, don't you, Mark? You can't really ask people,
but I tell you where it's stupid. Where it's stupid is people don't realise there's water usage in there. That
Yes.
most of the buildings don't have their own separate water meter for separate apartments, so they amalgamate water usage. Now, if you worked out your water usage in a house over the course of a year, and then you divided that up into a quarter, it's actually a significant amount. Most strata buildings include building insurance. So again, on a house, if you've got a Torrens title house or a Torrens title townhouse and your building insurance is $2,000 a year or $1,500 a year, well, straight away there goes another $500 a quarter that's going towards what you're paying. And so people have got to realise that you've got programmed maintenance, you've got administration costs, these administration costs of insurances, these of getting a cleaner. How good is it to have your gardens done automatically for you without having to ring the gardener or organise the gardener? Like, I would throw it down to say it could even be better living, strata living than Torrens living, because there's a hell of a lot of convenience, and you're often not good at that stuff, or you're crap at that stuff, and it's programmed and done for you.
Well said. And also,
Plenty of comments this morning, 18 comments. Wow.
The big thing as well, Mark, is land tax is reduced. So you've got all those benefits of everything's done for you. But an asset for $1 million strata, an asset for $1 million freehold, the land tax could be 4 times as much, could be 5 times as much. So and what we typically see, Mark, besides the last 12 months, capital growth between units and houses has been very similar. Yes, your entry levels are very different. One can be $600,000, one's 1.5 million. But once you're in the market, you sort of see that steady growth. There has been a little bit of distortion this year, but if you have an investment house, let's say you get 2 strata units instead of 1 house, and you're over the threshold for land tax, you're paying your land tax and your council and fees maybe $4,000 a year. Times 2 is $8,000. Your land tax bill on a house would be $15,000 a year. So I know a lot of people don't like it because it's almost like you can always be in denial if you haven't pre-programmed or pre-planned expenses and maintenance.
I think it's severely misunderstood. People have got to spend a lot more time looking at what those costs go into in a strata to feel comfortable about it, because people literally get that strata bill, just look to the bottom number and just spew. And they go, what? This is ridiculous, da-da. But, the makeup of what goes into that in the course of a year, I would suggest there's no wastage in there generally with strata schemes, because if there is, you just can the strata manager and get another one. But, it's in the strata manager's interest to make sure there's no wastage in there. Yeah. The strata manager is actually the one coordinating, collating the bill payments, the tradie organisation, the issues within the building. So I think for that, and I'm not sticking up for strata agents, but I think as a professional service, they're necessary, and I don't think they're expensive either for everything they do in the course of a year, especially putting up with the Mrs. Mangle in the building. Like they're fielding a lot of shit calls.
Jeff just said that. He goes, yeah, but you always get an asshole, and it's so true. You always get someone.
But you know what? If you get 12 people together anywhere, you're going to find an arsehole. It's yes. At the end of the day, it's the byproduct of what the world or whatever it is. But I think the strata manager manages that arsehole and you don't, and that's worth money as well. But they're only charging 5% of the 95% of the costs. I'm estimating as what these guys on average are on fees. So, you know what? I reckon to get into a good strata scheme, often and where it gets mixed up is high levies. People get mixed up a high levy strata building as an expensive building or a building that's got problems. That you may find that they've been extremely lean in having a decent strata levy for such a long time that they then need to fatten the chicken up, so they start putting the levies up on everyone. Or you may find they just love to run off the smell of an oily rag, and they hit people up for special fees, one-off fees when they arise. So they opt as a strata committee. Just so people know, there's your strata manager. They are coordinating the committee. The committee is an elected committee by the unit owners of the building. So every year people will say who's the treasurer, who's the chairperson, who's the 8 committee members or whatever there is. They are elected by the people of the building. They're the ones who'll turn up to the routine to appoint meetings about the building. But then once a year in an annual general meeting, that's when everyone from the building is invited to come along and put in their input and do the voting for the board for the next year ahead. Anyway, my point is that the blood's on your hands if you've got a strata committee that's running super low levies and you're hitting people for special levies, or if you've got a building that's got super high levies and you've got money in the kitty. Well, either way, the blood's on your hand. Like that's just. It's fundamentally, it is what it is. But the money's not being burnt or stolen. That's what people don't understand.
Yeah, that's the key thing in the message for that today. It's not $1,000 a quarter down the drain. It's going towards something, and a lot of time you don't look at what it's going towards or appreciate it. Like how often you get someone to walk in and the building's it's not very clean and there's scuff marks. Oh, this is a dirty building. Going, well, they may have low strata levies and they're not taking care of it. So you've got to appreciate what it's done, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. Only 5% is probably going to the actual strata manager. The rest is going to the building in one way, shape, or form. I think that's a wrap. So don't be deterred by strata, but look into it and look into why it has low strata or very high strata. So it may be a great buy because it's got high strata and a lot of people think something's wrong with it, but they're looking to repaint the building. And you go,
I think sometimes I've seen some strata schemes in a bit of trouble with repairs and maintenance and some big bills on the horizon. And I think, I see some good predator purchasers come in and buy low and sell high, because they come in knowing there's concrete cancer in the building, knowing that no one wants to buy it because it knocks out 3/4 of the market. The predator purchaser comes in, buys it low, and then the building gets fixed and off they go. And there's been a lot of terrific purchases. Like the beachfront of Coleroy has 2 amazing buildings, Flight Deck and Shipmates, and those 2 buildings there had a beach where the ocean had eroded, almost got to the building in one stage in a storm. A lot of purchasers came in then and bought, and now a seawall's being built at the moment. Boy, have they made some money. Have they made some money.
It's true. All righty, Mark. That's a wrap for this morning.
Have a great day. The weather is amazing in Sydney the last 3 days, and thank God. Hopefully the floods are all displacing now, and have a good weekend. Go get yourself a good buy, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Love you.